My impression about the hearings of the Azerbaijani report by the Committee Against Torture was that the committee was extremely informed and educated about the issues in developments in Azerbaijan. I think it was first because it was given a lot of the information, relevant information before that, so they were very well informed about the issues that we're considering. I was impressed by the quality of the questions. They were very targeted, specific questions. And I think there were a lot of the difficult situations that the Azerbaijani delegation was faced with. And basically, I can say that they have not responded properly to any of the questions. I mean, there were like few very superficial answers, and I think they have a lot of homework to make. And tomorrow we'll see perhaps hopefully at least some answers. But I was struck by like the three questions basically. First one is about the investigation of the alleged cases of torture. I mean, one of the members of the committee was saying why there are like tens and hundred cases of alleged cases of torture, but none of the condemnation. So now no one basically was condemned of the application of the hold responsible for the torture, and there were kind of incoherent explanation why it happened. That was one interesting question. And then they gave the word to the prosecutor general to explain, but it was like general comments related to that. Another question was interesting, related to the domestic violence, and the question was why domestic violence is not also. I mean, there are cases of domestic violence, but again, it's not quite clear how many of the cases are being prosecuted and whether perpetrators are being held responsible. So basically, showing. I mean, Azeri legislation was saying the legislation is more or less in line with the Council of Europe standards. But it's clearly the answers were that actually doesn't function, doesn't produce the effects for the people. So that was kind of my general impressions based on specific cases. One member of the committee asked, I think it was a lady, asked that there were alleged, let's say, bruises caused by inmates on Leila Yunus, and why the investigation into these alleged facts were carried out only a month later. And there were, I mean, it's a very specific question without a general kind of explanation, but very specific question, and there was no response from the delegation of the. Although it was a huge delegation, I think there were more than 15 people from the Azeri legislation. That's a very simple question. I think this question was also raised in the report of the Human Rights House Foundation, others, why this simple question could not be answered by such a huge delegation. So I think there were like three highlights for me. So on the question of the fair trial guarantees, my opinion is based first on the fact that I was part of the team that went into the country, and I went 3 times and to observe actually the case of Intigam Aliyev, and I saw 2 more cases, as well as the work of the team of the lawyers who were present there and followed the methodology, kind of very comprehensive methodology to what extent the guarantees are respected. My general conclusion is that actually there are substantial, I mean serious concerns related to the Azerbaijani in compliance with the international fair trial guarantees. First issue is that the defense is not given proper chance to present its evidence to prove that the accused people are, innocent. And I refer specifically to Intigam Aliyev case, which I observed 3 times. I attended 3 sessions. I saw also other cases, like there was an organization prosecuted by the fact that it was doing activity and it even registered its grants, but the Ministry of Justice was claiming that the registration was not taking place, and the organization was trying to bring evidence showing of the fact that it was registered, and there were publications on the website of the Ministry of Justice proving it was registered, and the Ministry of Justice was trying to disclaim or to kind of disapprove this evidence. So that shows actually that the equality of arms is one of the core elements of the fair trial guarantees is not respected. I mean, the defense cannot present its evidence, which is at the essence, at the core of the fair trial guarantees. One more element was interesting for me to notice is that the right to communication of the accused, so for example, Intigam Aliyev, who is in custody, police custody, and now in preventive detention, communication with the lawyers is restricted both in time and also in the manner. I mean, confidentiality is not ensured in this case. And this is definitely a violation of the right to defend yourself in the court. One more element interesting is that also related to the publicity of the court hearings. When I was like 3 times monitoring the Intigam case, there was of course a huge line, and not everyone was allowed. But also the setup of the court is that there are judges on the other side. You are sitting somewhere at the end, but there is a cage which blocks half of your view of the judge operations, but also of the secretary of the court. You cannot even see a secretary of the court, whether she or he, I don't even know, he or she actually, because I cannot see, does she or he makes the notes, the minutes or not. And also the positioning of the prosecutor is so close to the judges, so the defense is actually far away from the judge, and so that actually shows also the attitude towards the defense. There are also people who, once they entered the room and they needed to get out for a couple of minutes, they cannot return back. You'd also see that the guards are walking through the court room and also following what you're writing, what kind of notes. This is kind of a very oppressive mood that you get once in the room. So these are the 3 issues that are kind of standing out clearly, which is not in compliance with international standards. That's for sure, and it doesn't make the court hearings fair. No one would believe actually the outcome of the court hearings in this case.